up, guys? Seth Mayberry here, patron of the San Diego Padres organization, and you are listening to High and Tight.
Okay, let's do this thing.
There it is. Get you fired up to start a Sunday night. Jason Burton, Scouting Director of Prep Baseball, Virginia, D.C., joined by Jordan Jones, the man, the myth, the legend, Assistant Scouting Director. Jordan, if y'all didn't notice, Jordan is in new digs tonight. New background. That's because Jordan has upgraded the lifestyle and moved out. So Jordan's in his new place. So congrats, Jordan. Appreciate you joining me at the new digs.
Yeah, it's good to be in a new spot, a little dig here, so ready to get rolling here.
But look, we're gonna get started. We're gonna jump right into it. First thing, I know we said last week we were going to talk playoffs. We didn't get around to it. We talked about a zillion players, which is always a good thing, but we missed out on playoffs. So I want to dive right into that. We have playoffs, private school playoffs starting this week, starting with the WCAC is, I guess, already started. They had their play-in games or I guess quarterfinals on Saturday. I think they had three games or scheduled for three. They ended up playing two of them. They have one that was a rain out that is tomorrow. So we're going to dive right into that. For semifinals, it is 3-game series for WCAC for the semis and the championship, which I think is awesome. You see who the better team is, not just who has the better, the one better pitcher or who kind of, I don't want to say lucks out, but, a lot of times anybody can win on any given day. And it's tough to take 2 out of 3 from a team who is, from top to bottom better. So we're going to start with it. Paul VI versus the Heights. Paul VI is the 1 seed, the WCAC regular season champions, if you will. They're the 1 seed, and they take on the Heights. Be very honest with you, don't have much on the Heights. I believe they're a Maryland team. I don't want to misspeak. I think so, though. Jordan, which way do you see this going?
I see it going Paul VI away. I mean, the offense and the arms that they possess give them a really good chance, especially in a series setting. So I definitely see them winning that series with the depth and talent that they have throughout the roster.
For sure. I think it's hard to argue with the season that they've put together. Again, anybody can lose on any given day. But it being a series, I think, just leans so heavily towards them. Then the 2 matchup, I guess it's like the 2-7. I'll be honest with you, not sure if St. Mary's Riken is the 7 seed. I think they are, but regardless, it's DeMatha versus St. Mary's Riken. We're not going to weigh in on that. That is Jamie's territory. That is PBR Maryland's territory. We have not seen either team. We don't know a ton of players on either one of those teams. We focus basically all of our attention on Virginia teams, rightfully so, since we're Prep Baseball Virginia. So with that being said, we're not going to weigh in on that matchup. However, we are going to touch on the St. John's series that features Our Lady of Good Counsel or the Gonzaga winner. Now, that one's a little bit different than everybody else because they got rained out on Saturday and they play their matchup, their quarterfinal game to get to the semis. They play that tomorrow. Our Lady of Good Counsel has had a very good year. They have beat some very good teams across the board in the WCAC and just, been consistently having some strong wins and having an up season this year. They take on Gonzaga tomorrow. We talked about this a little bit off air or offline. Obviously, there's a disadvantage for them playing tomorrow. What is you want to state the obvious here?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to use your big arms to win it all just to get the next round. So the pitching matchups won't necessarily line up. You go all in for that one game. And then whoever's next up for that game has to step up. So that kind of makes it a little tougher where other teams had that advantage where they got those other arms out of the way and have their second guy maybe ready to go or something like that. So that is kind of a disadvantage.
For sure. And honestly, I didn't get too much into the I didn't get too much into the the where St. John's is in terms of their staff. I know McCabe threw on Saturday. I think it was five and a third. So with knowing how he pitches and knowing how they pitch, throw a lot of strikes and are efficient and stuff like that, there is a chance that he would be available on Tuesday. With all of their arms, I highly doubt that they roll back with him. You'll probably see Arma game one or something like that. So that'll be huge for them, for a huge advantage for St. John's in that matchup. To have, obviously they already have a ton of pitching depth, but to already be kind of into the bullpen and then the secondary part of the rotation, with OLGC and Gonzaga coming off of that Monday game. Now, obviously, we probably are a little bit biased in terms of our favorites here. Who would you say is the favorite to advance to the championship?
I mean, St. John's, they have depth, they have plenty of talent all throughout the roster, so they always have a great chance to win each time out. I mean, if Gonzaga comes in and beats Good Counsel, and Fury is throwing, if he's on, he's going to give you a good start and give you a chance to win and kind of get ahead in that series. But I mean, I don't want to be too biased. I mean, just with the depth, I could see St. John's going to the championship for that one.
Yeah, and I want to apologize. Paul VI plays the winner of DeMatha and St. Mary's Riken. I don't think that score was in when I went in to look at that. So Paul VI is going to play either DeMatha or St. Mary's Riken, I believe. Yeah, in the semifinals. Guessing that's right. Or yeah, maybe no, because one will play 4, right?
Yeah, one should play 4.
Yeah, one will play 4. So that's Paul VI would play Gonzaga Good Counsel. So I got all this backwards. There's no bracket. There's just like typed out seedings and all that stuff. There's no bracket that I could see. So mess that up for sure. Paul VI will take on the winner of Gonzaga Good Counsel. So that will give Paul VI a leg up, obviously. And then the winner, whoever won the DeMatha St. Mary's Riken, will take on St. John's and O'Connell. St. John's, sorry, because they beat O'Connell on Saturday. So it's a hot start to the playoff pod. So obviously Paul VI, their pitching depth, St. John's, their pitching depth. Both teams are tested. They played up and down the East Coast, across the country. Paul VI played in Vegas. They have handled everything from top to bottom. Only one meeting with St. John's with the way that the WCAC, I think they added a team this year, and they had some like odd scheduling, or I think it was one team or one matchup where they only played one time. And of course that was Paul VI and St. John's. And that was like the first WCAC game, I think, for each of them of the year. And Paul VI went up big early and held on late. So obviously if I had to go in a direction of who was gonna match up, I would say that Paul VI and St. John's are going to match up in the championship. And best way to put it, it's going to be a really good series for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, both teams have depth where it can go either way, so that'll be an interesting championship for sure.
Let's see. TCIS also starts this week. And I'm probably going to butcher this, but it is Tidewater Conference of Independent Schools or something like that. I know it's a majority of Tidewater and 757 schools. There is one kind of holdout that is in the TCIS, and it is a Richmond-based team, and that is Stewart School, who won VISA 2 last year. Um, so you have the top 8 teams. They play Tuesday at the higher seed. They play Wednesday. There's 2 games on Wednesday at War Memorial, and then the championship on Friday is at War Memorial. Matchups are as follows: Norfolk Academy versus Hampton Roads Academy. Cape Henry is the 2 seed versus Norfolk Collegiate. Norfolk Academy was the 1. And Walsingham is the 3. They will take on Catholic on Tuesday, and Nansman Suffolk versus Stewart on Tuesday as well. That one will be at Nansman Suffolk, as Nansman Suffolk is the 4 seed. Each matchup: Norfolk Academy versus Hampton Roads. What do you think?
I'm gonna go with Norfolk Academy on that one. They've had a pretty strong season. They put together some good wins, some quality wins. So I think they're kind of battle tested in those big games, and I'll kind of push them forward in the first round.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they have, even when they have lost some games to some good teams, they have competed and been in those games. They've been close games, and they've won some huge games this year. And they're doing it. Some of their bigger wins are with some of the younger guys on the mound. Jed Creedon is a freshman, and he has done a phenomenal job for them at times this year. So I agree. I think the 1 seed advances. And let's move on to the 2, Cape versus Norfolk Collegiate. I think as you'll see, this is probably going to be a little chalky on our end. I don't know how many Cinderellas we're dealing with it here, just because it's really, really top heavy with your Norfolk Academy and Cape and Walsingham. Would you agree? You think Cape is gonna take care of that one?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, they've been here before. They've won big games. They've been strong all year, so I can just see them just continue that, going stronger as the playoffs continue, just getting there.
I mean, back-to-back state champions for Vista Division One. They have a multitude of arms that they can turn to. The Hummels have thrown well for them recently. You got Tanner Shado, which I don't know if they use him in the first game. And then they have Colin LaBelle, obviously. So they have plenty of arm talent that they can throw out there. If they get up early, they can, kind of go to the bullpen a little bit and staff it some. And they can be explosive on offense. And you have some guys there in the middle of the order with Nate Jensen and Tanner Shadle and Andrew Hart. You got some table setters like Reed Downs and Chris Martinez and some of those guys who do a really good job. And then, again, you got the Hummels coming up towards the end. And there's, from top to bottom, it's a really strong team. It's a really strong team. I think that's going to be a tough game to see Norfolk Collegiate coming out of there. But, again, it's 1 game, so never know. Walsingham and Catholic, they're at Walsingham. What do you got, Jordan?
I'm gonna go with Walsingham on this one. Luke Harlow, he's gotten hot, hit a few bolts here recently the past few weeks. So him at the top of the lineup definitely changes things, and then have some guys later down in the lineup get some run producing there. But they've gotten stronger as the year's gone on, so they're peaking at the right time.
Yeah, Harlow has been on fire recently. So obviously credit to you for pointing that out, but he has been hot. And hopefully we get a chance to see him, and obviously good luck to Catholic, but we do want to get a chance to see Luke. We saw him really early on and haven't gotten a chance lately, been all over the place. So I do see Walsingham advancing at that. Now, we do have an interesting matchup in the 4-5 game, which is Nansman Suffolk versus Stewart. What do you see here?
When it comes down to this game, I think it's going to be a scrappy game, and whoever makes the least mistakes plays a clean game. Is going to be the winner of that. Like, both teams are scrappy. Some youth on both sides as well. But I'm gonna go with Stewart on this one. I think they're just going to bring some heart out, try to play the right way. I think they might pull it off.
Richmond guy. I'm a Richmond guy too, but I'm gonna have to go Nansman Suffolk here. Um, the one thing that I will say, Nansman Suffolk has more pitching depth. But in defense of Stewart, I have learned over my 4 to 5 years, you do not count out a Bruce Seacrest coach team when it comes to the playoffs. He just, no matter whether he has a ton of arms and not much offense, or offense and no arm, whatever it is, he finds a way to get it done. But I do see Nansman Suffolk coming out on top. I think they have too much firepower. They have some youth in there that has been playing well. And then they have a couple of senior arms that, have done a really nice job for them this year. And even in games they've lost, in tougher games. I mean, I was at the Cape Henry game. Nansman Suffolk was up until the seventh inning, seventh inning. So they have played some quality teams, and they haven't won a ton of them. But they have played them close, and I think that that senior experience and some of that offensive firepower there on the front end of the order, and you got Gavin Angelillo and those guys. I think Nansman Suffolk comes out on top. So those are your matchups for WCAC after I butchered those, and in TCIS. Now, we're going to do a whole kind of pod by itself next week on VISA, because the seedings are obviously not out yet. Teams' regular seasons are not over with. But we do have some direction, obviously, because the majority of the teams that are still playing their regular season only have 1 or 2 games this week. It lightens up on the back half of the week so that they can get ready for playoffs and have arms rested and all that good stuff. Now, this is a little bit different. Most everything is based off of the poll. They do have a selection process and a committee and all of that good stuff and voting. So majority of that stuff is done through their poll, and I will give you the poll rundown right now. We will start at Division 3, where Walsingham is your 1, Southampton is your 2, Kinston Forest is your 3, Amelia Academy is your 4. Not to slight anyone, I don't know if we go any deeper than that. It is a trend, and I think everyone knows this trend. That is Walsingham's division. You're going to have a really tough time dethroning the champs. I know that Brunswick Academy, had a good run last year, but obviously Walsingham won that. Kinston Forest could potentially be the sleeper as far as who could challenge Walsingham the best. And then you have Southampton there at the 2. So that, obviously if it came down to the semifinals with Southampton and Kinston Forest matching up with each other, they're going to beat up on each other so bad in that semifinal, they're not going to have the arms left to challenge Walsingham in that championship game. And Walsingham, with them being the 1, once you get on the bottom half of that Division 3, a lot of times, Walsingham has the capability and the depth to be able to throw off and still win that game easily with their offense. So they get to save their guy for the championship game. So again, I don't think we need to discuss that one too much. We'll go over it when the seedings come out, but I still think that's Walsingham's to lose. Let's see here. Division 2 right now. Again, these are just the poll from last week. Highland School at 1 with 68 votes. Greenbrier Christian at 2 with 65. Nansman Suffolk at 3 with 56. Atlantic Shores at 4 with 49. Stewart at 5 with 42. Trinity Christian at 6 with 29. Virginia Episcopal at 7 with 28. And Olive White at 8 with 25. And I want to say that, and I may, again, maybe completely misspeaking here, I want to say there's a play-in on that 8-9 game, which is Isle of Wight versus North Cross. So obviously that one would be fun just because they'd probably throw Lang. I don't know if Northcross would come out on top of that one, but somewhere along the lines, he's probably going to punch like 15 in 6 innings, and going to stay on that trend. But either way, those teams are going to burn through and then have to face Highland. What do you see in Division Two? Highland, Greenbrier, Nansman, Suffolk, Atlantic Shores. Those are your top four right now, and I would say those are kind of, I don't want to say far and away the favorites, but definitely the ones towards the top. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, definitely starting off with Highland. They have the power and the depth there on their roster where they can pitch off and end up making to a championship and throw their guys. So they have that depth there. But Greenbrier Christian, they've played a tough schedule this year. They've won some huge games, and they're going to be there to compete, and I wouldn't be surprised seeing them being there as well.
Yeah, and again, remember, these are not our polls. Not necessarily that they don't reflect the same, but these are not our polls. These are Vista's polls, and these are voted on by coaches and everyone on that committee or panel, if you will. It's like, I mean, Highland played in the IMG tournament, which is an extremely tough tournament and extremely tough competition, and they have played at times a tough schedule. I think from top to bottom, and I may be wrong here, but I was just looking at the schedules. I think Greenbrier consistently throughout the season, from start to finish, has played a more consistent, tougher schedule. Highland has probably played the toughest teams of those two schedules. Obviously, I think those two are the favorites just for a multitude of reasons, but one, because of the depth of the offense and the depth of the arms on both. Highland has some arm depth, I guess, issues that they're going through right now. And that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But again, they would get the 1-8, I think the winner of the 8-9. So that helps them out. And I think that's like a Tuesday, Friday, the quarters and semis that week. So whoever they throw on Tuesday, depending on how they do it, more than likely can roll back. I think Greenbrier, Virginia Episcopal has had a better record and stuff this year. They're still really young. And I think Greenbrier will just overmatch them and be able to save some arms. But when you get into your 3-6 and 4-5, they're going to have to use arms. I think Atlantic Shores and Stewart matched up last year in the 4-5. Stewart was a 4, Atlantic Shores was a 5. Well, now Atlantic Shores is a 4, Stewart is a 5, so might get a chance to see that rematch again, potentially with Patrick Dudley on the mound. So we'll see how that plays out. But again, it is top heavy. Those two at the front obviously are the front runners, Highland and Greenbrier. And I think it's going to be tough to overcome them. But there are some arms like a Patrick Dudley that can kind of neutralize some teams, their offense. But at the same time, they're going to have to score on some of those frontline arms for the other team. So that is 2. And again, we'll get more into it. We'll get more into it when we get the brackets. But we're going to go to Vista Division 1. Like this is the craziest year for Vista Division 1 that I've seen. It is probably the strongest that I have seen it. I mean, right now you have St. Anne's Belfield is your 6. That's pretty solid. Norfolk Academy is your 7. And I don't want to misspeak, but I think Norfolk Academy has beaten Benedictine and Cape, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
And again, apologize if we misspoke, but I mean, you go down to the 9, and we have Bishop O'Connell in your 9.
That's a tough 9.
Right? Like Potomac School's the 8. You got Collegiate in the 5. Miller School in the 4. When Miller School is your 4, that's tough.
Yeah.
Cape's at 3. Paul the 6 is 2. Benedictine is 1. I think that might shake up a little bit this week with Miller School knocking off Cape and knocking off Benedictine. You're going to see some shakeup with that. If I had to guess, I would think that Paul VI goes to 1, Miller School goes to 2, which may or may not accurately reflect the Power 25. And then you'll have Benedictine and Kate behind that. That's just a complete guess. Have nothing to do with VISA voting. But Division I is crazy. It makes no sense how, I really think 1 through 6, and not trying to slight 7, 8, 9, whatever. I really think 1 through 6, anybody could win it. If Bingler comes out and he's locked in, he can neutralize any of those teams. Collegiate school, I think there's some question marks on the mound, even though that they've been throwing well lately. I don't think they have that top high-end shutdown arm, but they do have some offense that can have a breakout game and be pretty potent at times. And then those top 4 are just stacked top to bottom offensively and on the mound. Some of them tend to go quiet a little bit offensively at times, but they're not going to give up many runs. Jordan, anything to add besides that Division I is really good?
Yeah, no, it's really good. I feel like you can put their names in a hat and just draw one out. It's the depth is crazy and talented, so it could go either way with many of those teams.
Yeah, and again, we're going to continue to get into it a little bit deeper as the brackets are revealed. We should have those next Saturday at some point, and we will make some predictions, although they will probably be the exact same. No, they can't be the exact same for Division I. Division III probably going to be the same, though. Jordan, any other thoughts to add on playoffs so far?
I don't know. I feel like this is one of the better postseasons with all the talent that's gone through the state this year. So it could go a lot of different ways later in this postseason for each of the divisions.
For sure. All right, we're going to jump into the Power 25. Obviously, Power 25 will come out tomorrow at noon. We had, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of the Power 25 teams lose this week. A couple of them to each other. A couple of thoughts that I wanted to go through from this past week. Benedictine had 5 games this past week, and they went 3-2. However, they lost to, and I don't know Jamie's rankings right off the top of my head. They lost to Archbishop Spalding by 1 Saturday evening, and that was after defeating Western Branch 1-0 earlier on Saturday. And Western Branch was the number 11 team. And again, Benedictine won 1-0. Jake Wise threw a complete game, and then they lost to Archbishop Spalding. I think it was 10-9, if I saw that right, Jordan. And I think they made a flurry and kind of made things tighter late. I think Archbishop Spalding was up by more than 1 run the inning or so before. But very tough week for them. They lost to Miller School 2-0. And they lost to Archbishop Spalding by 1. So really tough week for them, and I don't think it gets any easier. We looked at the schedule. They have Hanover this week, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. They don't go crazy like they did last week in terms of the quality and quantity. But they do have a tough schedule this week, even if it is just Hanover. Miller School and Benedictine, they have split their regular season matchups. Each team has won 1 game. The first time Benedictine won, you were at that game, right, Jordan?
Yes.
That game was 1-0. And then Miller School won this past week 2-0. So in their 2 matchups, there have been 3 combined runs. Both teams are really, really good. Miller School had a heck of a week. They defeated Cape Henry. They defeated Benedictine. And they had one more in there. I can't remember right off the top of my head. Jordan, we were talking about it earlier. I can't remember the third quality win that they had last week, but they did have 3 of them. Glass has 2 losses on the season. Both of their losses are 1-0 losses. And then Highland coming up this week. Highland has a big week rankings-wise. They left off going into the 5th inning versus Miller School towards the beginning of the season, or a couple weeks ago, I should say. They are going to finish that game tomorrow, and then they are going to start another game. So it'll be a big day. It'll be a big day for Highland going up or potentially sliding down, just depending, because the odds are, I know Highland's losing that game. Where it's at, I think it's like a 2-run game, but they have a chance to come out of there, come back, and go 2-0 on that day, which will help them. Or if they take if they go 0-2, I think that's their last game of the season, or those are their last 2 games of the regular season. That could potentially affect their seeding when it comes to Vesa, when it comes to the poll. So that's Highlands week coming up. Brentsville District. Brentsville District is what, 14-2, Jordan? Yeah. 14-2. Their 2 losses are by a total of 3 runs. They had 1 loss that was 1-0. They lost, I believe it was to Patriot at 1-0, and then they lost to Light Ridge 4-2. I'm not sure that they have lost since spring break. So they're on a really good run. They actually are going to be moving into the Power 25. And then Grassfield. Speaking of teams that haven't lost in a while, Grassfield has not lost since April the 1st at the Commonwealth Classic. They are 13-3. They had a quality win over Maury this weekend. I believe Bradley Zayak struck out 10. So really good win for them. And they will see themselves move up some this week in the Power 25 as well. Jordan, anything to add?
Yeah, just as teams continue to get to the back end of their schedule, they may have some tough games or a lighter schedule where it could definitely push them up or push them down in the Power 25. So that's just something to think about as the regular season comes to an end.
For sure. And kind of like we expected a little bit, like we talked about last week with specifically with Tuscarora, where I said that they were a little bit lighter on the back end of their schedule. We're kind of seeing that come to fruition. They've handled themselves well. I don't know if it's this week or next. They have 2 versus Loudoun Valley, I believe. And that might be some of their tougher tests that they have remaining. So be interesting to see where they continue to trend. And yeah, so Power 25 comes out tomorrow at noon. Tuesday, the private school top 10 comes out. We will not update the small school 10 until next Wednesday. Small school 10 came out last week. Some of those teams are finishing up their regular season schedule this week, as well as some teams in Northern Virginia. It's crazy, man. Everybody does different things. You got teams that have 2 weeks and 4 and 5 games left on their regular season schedule. And then you have public school teams who have 1 game left. I just wish they would get everybody kind of – we have people who have district tournaments and end up playing, 23 games before they go into the, regional playoffs. And then you have teams who don't have a district schedule anymore, and they end up only getting, maybe 21 games. I just wish they'd get everybody on the same page, but that's a longer pod for another day. All right. Well, let's get into the games from this past week. We're going to start off with your Monday, Jordan. Your Monday consisted of, let's see, Euromonican and LC Bird, right?
Yeah.
All right. So we got one guy who you want to talk about. Who is that?
2024 runoff making commit Turner Johnson. He really set the tone for them. He threw 5 shutout innings for them. Only gave up 1 hit, working in the low 80s. But what I really liked about that outing, he worked quick, worked with pace. He got the ball back, and he was right back on the mound ready to go. So really strong outing for them, and he set the tone, and they just rolled from there on.
Athletic, going to Macon, two-sport athlete, quarterback for football, good kid, competitor. So it was good to see. I know you were excited to get out and see Turner, and that was our first chance to see Bird or Monica in the spring. My Monday consisted of a trip to DC for some good old 3 o'clock downtown traffic. That was a good time. Paul VI at Gonzaga. Carter Purdue was phenomenal once again. The kid just pitches. He just pitches. He gets outs. He gets uncomfortable swings. I want to say he was up to 89 early. Velo fluctuated some. He could kind of add when he wanted, but just, got on the hands of right-handed hitters a lot. The breaking ball would back up, but he still got uncomfortable swings on it. Efficient in the zone, works quick, got contact. His defense played behind him. So really good outing from Purdue. And I was super excited to get to see Aiden Gallagher come in. I think Jamie was the lucky one that got to see him. It was our first time. I didn't even know that Aiden pitched. I know he has an absolute hand cannon behind the plate, but I did not know that he hopped on the mound. And we had seen video from Jamie where he was like mid-upper 80s. Little sore to end it there. He came in the 7th, threw some breaking balls. Same thing, mid to upper 80s. Really intriguing kid. And the biggest thing is for somebody who we didn't really even know or hadn't really seen pitch before, he has an exceptional feel for spin. The slider's pretty good. The breaking ball's okay. The slider's really good. It's firm. It's probably more of a sweeper for all of you that hate or love that. It's more horizontal movement to it. It's a little bit higher spin. I want to say it was in the 2,600, 2,700 range. Big body, still has some room to fill out. First base, corner outfield, catcher, right-handed arm. I think there's a ton of things that kid can do. He can really catch and throw behind the plate. But it was really good to see them. And I want to also give a shout out to the WCAC Player of the Year, Jackson Soroy. We had him as one of our 25 to watch, players to watch, or whatever, 20 players to watch at the beginning of the season. Had a feeling he was going to have a breakout year, and he has. The kid has produced every single time we've seen him. He's played a lockdown short. The last shout out I want to give to the WCAC regular season champions, somebody who I don't think gets a lot of due. We haven't talked about a ton. I know I talked to you about him. You probably know where I'm going with this. Ryan Henson, third baseman for Paul VI. I'm telling you, I've seen Paul VI like 3 or 4 times this year. And look, he's a big kid. I don't know if he plays third at Mary Washington. But I'm going to tell you what, he has absolutely locked it down at third base for Paul VI this year. Plays on the run, forehand, backhand. I think it was a Paul VI at a Bishop O'Connell game a few weeks ago. Made like some jumping catch at third base on a line drive that I thought for sure was a single. Some kid gets fisted and he comes forward and gets a run through or slow roller and throws it to first base, and you're not sure. I mean, I don't think we're any secrets here. Ryan's not a plus runner. He's not Peltier. All right. So I don't, sometimes you don't know if he's going to get to some of those slow rollers and get it out, and every single one, he makes a play on, and it's a clean throw, accurate, enough arm strength. I think we would do, it would be unjust if we did not mention Ryan Henson in the year that he's had for them at third base. So that was my Monday. And the chirping was next level. I will say that. We talked about that. The chirping was next level. Paul VI is very creative. I'd like to see A Paul VI and Miller School matchup for the Vista Division One championship. The dugouts, it would just be worth just bring popcorn and just watch the two dugouts go at each other. And it's not bad, right? It's not bad. It's clean, but I enjoy it. I'm sure it's borderline for some people, but I enjoy it. Jordan, what you got?
Yeah, so my Tuesday, I went to Spotsylvania and Caroline came down and visited them. 2024 Adam Pitts, Paul D. Camp commit. He threw an exceptional game, 8 innings. The game did go into extras, but he did take a no-hitter late into that game. Picked up 11 Ks, worked in the low 80s, mix, attacked the zone. So he was really good for them. Then 2024 Miles Holmes, he got a big double and scored for them. Big offensive guy for them. He plays a really big part in their lineup, top of the lineup. He hits, athletic. So that was a really good swing from him there. And then 2026 Josh Perez for Spotsylvania. He kept them in the game. 6 innings, 8 strikeouts. He was up to 92. It was more 88, 90. Didn't really have a feel for the slider, but he worked fastball change, keeping hitters off balance there. But I mean, it's a live arm. He misses bats. He's going to be a fun one to watch over the next few years for sure.
Yeah, and he is one who just registered for state games this week. Fire me up. Registered for state games and pumped up about having him there. The crazy thing is like he is insanely young. He is a sophomore, and I'm pretty sure, and I'm checking it now. Yeah, he will not turn, Jordan, he won't turn 16 until he is into his junior year. He is still 15.
Yeah.
Up to 92, held 88, 90 in the 6th. I've seen it. Changeup is good. Slider has a chance to be good. I think with you and I both, it's been a little bit hit and miss with the field. But he's flashed some shape and some arm speed and the velo on it. But I think the changeup is probably his second best and most consistent secondary pitch. But the slider is definitely a quality pitch that he'll continue to add on. But yeah, definitely one I'm excited to get a chance to see at state games. I know in talking to some people around him, he wants his opportunity to come to future games, which who doesn't, right? My Tuesday I made the annual trip to Buckingham. I feel like I go there once a year, and I guess for the past 3 years, and got a chance to see Justin Gunter, the Longwood commit. Let's see if we have audio or not. Guess we call that the baseball hezzy. Is that the baseball hezzy? He was really good. 88, 91. I was there into the middle of the 5th. He held it pretty well throughout. I don't like to use command a whole lot, but commanded the fastball to the glove side, as you saw there. He could put it wherever he wanted to when that catcher moved to the outside away from right-handers. Breaking ball was kind of slurvy. He got his strikeouts off of the breaking ball. He got some chases and swings and misses. It was more of a 2-strike pitch or even count. He would get the fastball over early to get ahead, and he would just finish guys with the breaking stuff. Good body, quick arm. Should be really interesting to see where it shakes out. I know we'll talk about the other one, but I definitely think he's making a strong case for a potential 2A state player of the year candidate, definite first team guy. I think that's a no doubter, and is helping lead Buckingham to an undefeated season so far. And they are our current number 1 in the small school top 10. So they defeated Randolph Henry. And he was phenomenal in his outing. Now, Jordan Ware, Wednesday, what you got? Grafton, New Kent?
Yep, Grafton and New Kent. 2027 Brody Cash for New Kent. He got the start for them. He worked up to 83, but he mixed pitches. He could spin for strikes whenever he wanted. Featured a curveball and a breaking ball, and he just got quick outs, weak contact throughout his outing. And then he also provided a little bit of offense in the leadoff spot for New Kent. Then on the other side, Luke Wills, 2025, got to start 6 innings, worked 82, 84. But he can spin a breaking ball, use a curveball and slider. But slider was more of the finisher. But as we like to say, spin wins, and he was spinning that breaking ball when he wanted to. And then 2027 Dakota Jackson for Grafton, he provided some offense as well, getting a double down the third base line for Grafton, trying to jumpstart some offense there in the bottom line for them. But I mean, he puts the ball in play. It was a multi-hit day for him. Bat the ball, and he really gets out the box hard. So nice little 27 for Grafton to look at later on in the future.
I was going to say, kid gets out of the box for sure, which is what you love to see, as opposed to the alternative. Now the Wills breaking ball I thought was really good. I liked that. That was the first I really seen of it. We see so many players and go through so much and get tweeted at so many times a day and stuff like that. Like, it's good to circle back on some of these and see some of this stuff. My Wednesday consisted of Cosby at Glen Allen. I hadn't had a chance to see Glen Allen this year. I saw Cosby early, so wanted to get out and see them. It was kind of, sort of. I don't want to say Cosby start to finish, because Glen Allen obviously came back and tied it up. But outside of the 7th inning, where some things Cosby got themselves into a tough spot. It was Cosby kind of from start to finish. The highlight of the day for me personally was getting to see Blake LaMattina outside of a scrimmage setting, outside of probably his first time playing on the high school level. The kid's got a chance to be pretty good. It's pretty physical, especially for a freshman. It comes pretty easy. There are obviously plenty of things that he'll continue to add polish and continue to grow. But it's easy to see the intrigue. That was a fly ball early on. This was a double. I think he ended up getting thrown out at third here. But that was a bases clearing double there. Or maybe that was. I think the other one was a single, actually. So just really good. Then he comes on to pitch. Oh, here we go. Comes on to pitch. It's a pretty easy and effortless mid to upper 80s. He came on. He was in a jam. He came on in relief of Jack Waite, who was once again, I think it's like the third time we've seen him this year. Once again, he was really, really good for Cosby and got deep into the game. LaMattina came in. He had some traffic on the bases. He worked more in like the 83, 85, 84, 86 range. And then when he came out for a clean inning, or even when he felt comfortable in what he was doing, he would just add whatever he wanted to. Ran it up to, I don't want to misspeak, it was 88, 89. I want to say there was an 89 or 2 mixed in there, but I know it was 88. Just really strong kid. He's in the 5 spot. He's definitely got a chance to move up. He's definitely got a chance to move up in that class. He's got some special two-way ability. He's strong. I think he'll continue to get bigger. Just very intriguing freshman. And then Seth Truesdale continues to have just a huge year for Cosby. Kind of the emotional leader. Schnars is kind of quiet. He's definitely a leader, and he's been there, started for 4 years. Both of those guys have, so I think that's huge for them to have 2 4-year starters on varsity. Schnars doesn't always show a ton of emotion. He'll flash it every once in a while. Truesdale's definitely a little bit more vocal. But I tell you, both of those guys are really good in the top and in the middle of that order. Truesdale is having a breakout year. Schnars had a heck of a play to end the game on a double play ball where he leaped off the bag. Big moments for both of those guys in that game, and I know that they're going to be tough in Class 6 as it keeps going forward. So that was Wednesday. Let's see. We weren't on the road Thursday? No, I was
I
not.
was. I was. I was.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, you were. I
Yeah.
had
So
Brooke's birthday.
yeah. Yeah.
You were at Miller School at Stab, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So middle school kind of jumped out early. Offense got started immediately. 2024 shortstop Jackson Ingram, West Virginia commit. He got the offense rolling for them quick. Got a single early on his first AB and ripped triple backside in his next AB. He's really the table setter, gets the offense going for them there. He had a really good game. And then John Michael Chef, 2026, he bats right behind Ingram, and immediately right after that, another knock for him. So they got it early on for him. It's elite bat the ball, plays quiet about his game, but he's simple, keeps it going. He's really impressive offensively. And then 2025, Evan Hankins, he got the start for them, Tennessee commit, and he gave up one run to the first batter and was locked in after that. It was 83-85, touch 7, but he mixed, he competes, and he works hard. He got out of a jam a couple of times and just kept them in the game, but really turned it up for them later on in that outing to give them a chance to continue to win and push that lead. And then for Stab 2026, Will Yao, he was really the only offense for them. Leadoff bomb in the bottom of the first, really got the barrel up in the zone and got up out of left field for Stab. Elite runner, he can run, defend, short. So definitely someone to keep an eye on as well for Stab with a young group that they have. You're on mute.
There we go. Got it. Yao, high waist, long legs, long arms, lanky, lean, and the kid can really run. He's going to continue to add strength to that frame. So definitely intriguing there. I did have one that I forgot to mention for Glen Allen. I'm going to circle back before I go forward. Alex Awad is a guy we haven't gotten a chance to see much. The command was not there when he came in, but it is a long, whippy, loose, fast arm. He was 84, 87. The breaking ball has a chance to play. That's one that I wanted to touch on for Glen Allen that I think, sophomore 2026 that has, definitely has some ceiling left there. Pretty thin, ton of room to add some strength in there and fill out. And I just think he's got a chance to throw a lot. I say a lot harder. He's got a chance to add some velo in the next 12 to 18 months. And, hopefully the feel for the zone will continue to get better. But definitely an intriguing arm for sure. My Friday, Jordan, I'm going to go to Friday. I made the trip out to Patrick County. It's my first time going out there. Shout out to Coach Swales. Wanted to get a chance to go out there and see Tucker. I hadn't seen him in a bit. And they had a great matchup versus a really good Allegheny team. Allegheny, I believe, moved up to 3 this year. They were 2 last year. And Tucker was good. He was pretty good on the mound. I think, in talking to him and talking to Dad and stuff, it wasn't necessarily his best night on the mound. He filled it up, didn't really walk anybody. He did some really good things, but as far as the stuff wasn't as overpowering, I think, as it usually is. But he was plenty overpowering at the plate. Was 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and a home run. Had a huge, huge game for them. This is him on the mound. Fastballs early in the count. Got early contact, let his defense work. Pitch count stayed down. Spun it probably more in like the 3rd, 4th, 5th inning. First 2 innings, you didn't really see much in terms of spin. That's one of the doubles, I believe. I think this is the bolt. He has a nice little touch there. and that is this is to his dugout. That is not to the opposing team. He was fired up. It was a huge spot. They were down 2-1 in the bottom of the sixth, and that 2-run home run. He was the second hitter of the inning. That 2-run home run put them up 3-2. It's a huge game for them. It's a district rival. Patrick County has one loss. They'd already beaten Allegheny early on. It was just a big moment for them. They ended up putting up 10 in the bottom of the sixth to win that one 11-2. He threw 6 innings. He was outstanding. So shout out to Coach Swales and his program and the group there at Patrick County for all the hospitality and letting us come in there. I was worried. I made that 3-hour drive each way, got some rain and some lightning. I was texting you, Jordan, what I tell you, I was like, you watch what's going to happen. I'm going to come here and it's going to rain in the fourth. And what did I do? I called you. I said, what's it doing in the fourth? Raining. No, it was really good. The last one. That is Eli Weiss, senior for Allegheny, shortstop. The kid can play. Bridgewater has a good one coming in. I know when he committed to Bridgewater, I texted Coach Spots. I was like, got a good one coming in. We got a chance to see him this past summer at state games. Competitor, can really defend, high motor, bat to ball, can play, can like I say, can defend. He's offensive. It's a smaller, compact frame, but he plays a little bit bigger than he is. I really like him. I really like the get for Bridgewater, so I think he's going to be a huge addition for them. Jordan, going back to you for your final game of the week. Did you have – no, you were off Friday.
Yeah.
What was your level of excitement? What was your level of excitement when I called you and I said, Jordan, take Friday off? What was your level of excitement?
It was pretty high. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't expecting it, but I know heading into the weekend had some other things going on heading into the weekend, so it was good to get that little break and reset and get back after it. So,
first youth tournament of the year. We only have 2 of them. First youth tournament of the year. Jordan was the site director for the youth tournament. They didn't play today because of the rain, but I know it was an electric time out there on Saturday. So I was only able to take in 2 innings. But last thing I want to touch on, just so everybody knows, super limited spots available for state games. And when I say super limited, we have like 10 or 11 PO spots, a handful of first base, a handful of third base, a handful of outfield spots. If you're having an issue with, or you have a question about how to request an invite or something like that, DM us, email us, text us if you have our number. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. But the high school season is coming to an end, and events and scout days and tournaments and all of that are starting up. As exciting as those things are, I can't speak for Jordan, but I can speak for myself. And I am sad to see another high school season come to an end. Jordan, any parting thoughts?
no, I've enjoyed this high school season. It's honestly one of my favorite parts of the year. I just love getting out and trying to get to as many high school teams as I can. So I really enjoy it. So I am sad as well.
It is again, love scout days, love events, love tournaments, all that stuff. But I just love the atmosphere of high school games and the camaraderie and the players and all of those things that make high school baseball what it is. So here is to finishing the season off the right way and killing it the last couple weeks like we have tried to continue to do, and continue to add on to our 153 teams that we have seen from across the state. So try to make it to 160 this year, 170. Might make it. But that's it for us. Appreciate everybody joining us. Had a little over 300 in here tonight. So thank you all, and we will see you either at a field or on here next week.